It's Wednesday through Sunday.
Mhm.
All right, those were my beginning of the meeting messages. So once again, I'm Nina. I'm from the Bloomfield-Garfield Corporation. I'm the Community Engagement and Planning Specialist. We're here for the Garfield State of the Neighborhood meeting. We have Commander Vinansky with us as our first speaker tonight. He's going to talk about the crime update. And then if anyone has questions or wants to talk about something that they're seeing in the neighborhood, there will be time for Q&A with the commander as well. So we're going to get things started. Commander Vinansky, are you ready?
Yep. Yeah. Happy to report. Not too busy in the past 30 days. We had one aggravated assault incident. This was an incident where several males were shot at in the 300 block of North Evaline. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. There is, our detectives are investigating some activity in the area based on complaints. And as soon as we make an arrest, we'll update. Also, there was a robbery in the 4,000 block of Penn. Convenience store was robbed. There were 2 arrests in another related incident. So detectives should be close to making the arrest on that, but we're pretty confident in who those suspects were. And one burglary. This was in the 4,700 block of Maripo. Victim had their dog stolen by a known male. Officers were quickly able to identify that person and arrest them on the 27th. And just 7 thefts in the past month. 3 of them were vehicles. 2 of the 3 did have keys in them. So folks, please be careful leaving keys in your cars. Some people, leave spares for convenience, but thieves know where to look. And it's, a common way to steal cars nowadays. Does anybody have any questions?
What time of day was the robbery on Penn Avenue and the Evaline shooting?
They were both in the evening.
Okay.
I have to pull up the robbery was. I have my notes here. Stand by. We have that here. Just 1 second. Well, the shooting was like in the early evening too, I believe. So the robbery happened. The robbery actually happened. That was actually later. That was 1:25 in the morning. And like I said, we have strong suspects in that incident. There was another related one in the immediate area where we arrested 2 suspects. And as far as the shooting goes, I know that's we've had several community complaints from the area. And so it's something that we're looking at. And I want to think that one was right around 9 o'clock in the evening. But we are investigating it further, and our detectives are working hard at it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone who just joined us. You're attending the Garfield State of the Neighborhood meeting. Commander Vinansky from Zone 5 just gave a quick crime update, but we are now in a question and answer period. So if you do have any questions or concerns or anything that you would like to discuss as far as crime is considered or safety, now is the time that you can ask those questions. Would anyone like to ask a question? You are able to just unmute yourself and ask a question if you so feel like it. Nobody? Okay. Well, thank you, Commander Vinansky. Our next speaker is Marty Battistone. Did I say it right, Marty?
Nailed it.
Thank you. She is going to give us an update on the Fort Pitt Park expansion project. It's super exciting. So I'm going to let you take it away, Marty, if you could introduce yourself and then tell us what's up.
Okay. Can I share my screen? Oh, yeah, I can. Okay, great. I'm Marty. I am one of the environmental planners in the city's Department of City Planning. And I believe one of our consultants, Joe, is here as well from the, yeah, there he is. You want to introduce yourself, Joe?
I gave you co-host permission, Marty, so you should be able to
Yeah.
share the screen.
Yeah, I can. Thank you. Okay. Let's see if I can do it. All right. So I'll try and make this, pretty brief because I know there's other things and it's gorgeous outside. So this is just an update on the Fort Pitt Field and Park Master Plan. We are in the final stage of gathering input on the plan, the final report. And so if you haven't been able to take a look at that after I get done, I'll post a link to the Engage page where it's posted online. So just a little background for anyone who's not familiar. Fort Pitt Park is at the western end of Hillcrest Street. It's just under 10 acres. There used to be a playground. Currently, there's not. There are 2 basketball courts, one of which has been renovated, a football field with bleachers, and then a concession and restroom building. It's right adjacent to the Fort Pitt Elementary School, which closed in 2011, but I know there's plenty of people who are even on this call who attended that school. And it's the home of the Garfield Gators, which is a huge, fixture in the community for decades. So the goal of a park master plan is pretty much just to gather public input so that, there's a document stating what the resident priorities are and to guide, the funding and construction moving forward. And then also to, make sure that green space, which is such a, valuable commodity, is preserved and restored to, its highest and best use. So, and Joe, feel free to jump in at any point. So one of the first steps we did was an inventory and analysis of lots of different things, from the slopes to the vegetation on and around the site, trails and pedestrian access, existing utility lines and things like that, and then property ownership, because there's, a little bit of weird property ownership happening because the housing authority actually owns the property that the basketball court and the playground are on, and as well as there's some publicly owned parcels surrounding the park that we think could, be beneficial to bring it all together. So then we did our first round of public engagement, and obviously with COVID, we kind of had to pivot, and we went online, but thanks to groups like BGC and the Garfield Gators, we felt like we were really able to reach a lot of people. And, a lot of the data we have shows that actually, most residents have access to either a smartphone, a computer, some way to kind of bridge that digital divide. So we were really happy we got over 80 responses on that first survey. And some of the main takeaways are that a lot of the people who use the park use it really frequently. It's a neighborhood scale park, and it's a mix of people getting there by walking or driving. Most people said that they felt really safe at the park, which is great to see. The average, rating out of 5, the average was 4.47. When asked what the most important aspect of the park was athletic facilities. So the football field definitely was kind of the most common response in terms of an upgrade or improvement to the park. And then people said that they really liked how kind of secluded and quiet the park felt, and that, maintaining that is really important. So then, after gathering all that information, cases were lower. And so we felt like it was, safe to have some in-person events in the park, just so people can see what we're talking about and, be there. So we had it over 2 days, and we had about 50 attendees. And then we also put all of the questions and activities that we were doing at the meeting online for those who weren't comfortable or weren't able to attend. And at this stage, people weighed in on 4 different park layouts, all of which were kind of just slightly different. And the one that had the most feedback was this one that circled, which was pretty much just, pretty much business as usual in terms of how the park is laid out now, with some small changes that we think will make some big improvements. And so some other pieces in that were that, people said that 2 full basketball courts were a priority, whereas, in some of these other plans, it was 1 or 1.5 basketball courts. And so people said that having 2 full courts was important. We had kind of talked about moving the playground maybe to the end of Hillcrest Street to sort of create more of a park feel instead of just the parking lot. And a lot of people said that, for those who live right next to the park, they don't necessarily want to hear people playing at, all hours of the day. A lot of people said that they want both, better connections to the park, and then once you're in the park to have some better walking loops and things like that. And then also we had a lot of kind of split feelings about a dog park. And so, just acknowledging it and kind of figuring out how to give everyone, something that they want. And so we took all of that again in that second phase of engagement and came up with the master plan, which you see sort of a diagram of here. And if you're just looking at it like it, it looks pretty similar to if you did a diagram of the park today. Joe, I don't know if you want to jump in a little bit about some of the tweaks.
Sure. Hi, everybody. This is Joe Hackett from La Quattro Bonsi. But basically the difference between this and what you see out there today is the field is rotated slightly. It's not perpendicular to Fort Pitt Field. It's rotated ever so slightly. What that does is it creates more room down off of Hillcrest Street for a much more efficient parking lot that folks can drive in and out without having to back up through. It also creates a little more space along the end of the field between the field and Fort Pitt School for a much more dramatic and important sort of pedestrian connection back to the playground and to the basketball courts. But the playground and basketball courts are basically rebuilt where they are. So essentially all the same ingredients that you see today that are out there, all the same elements, just in a slightly different configuration to make them more efficient. And that was most preferred by the folks that we talked to. And most people couldn't seem to see the benefit of dramatic changes to the park. This was, the park functions well as it is today. So minor improvements to make it function even better was what most people gravitated towards.
And like Joe said, kind of focusing on this this drive next to the school. We know that a lot of people, especially for football games, park back in the school parking lot. But, we acknowledging that we don't have control over what happens to the school property. We want to make sure that no matter what, that we're always sort of able to have all the park functions on the property that is, city property and park property. And so here's a fun little rendering of hopefully what it'll look like someday. And then, acknowledging also that in here are additional trails in those hillsides surrounding the park, and some walking loops around the field in the park. So yeah, like Joe said, the master plan document kind of calls out all the specifics about each park element, and I don't need to go through all these, but calls out a way that the parking lot could be designed and how that fits with the concession building and things like that. Same with the playground and the basketball courts. There is a proposed smaller parking lot back here for those that are maybe a little less mobile to be able, if they're with grandkids, to be able to drive back and have the grandkids, play without having to walk all the way up and around the school. So just, kind of little tweaks like that, some sort of seating built into the natural slope from the playground to the basketball court to kind of create some, more seating so people can watch the games or watch their kids who are playing, or potentially, have some events there as well. And then I know Nina, this is what Nina's excited about, formalizing some of those trails that are already there around the park, and, just calling out the improvements that need to be made for those stairs to kind of make those connections better. And then some additional trails to create better connections on like Shamrock Way. And then there's a lot in the master plan as well on stormwater, and recognizing that, being at the top of the hill, it's going to be hard. Some other parks were able to do a ton of stormwater to kind of pull from the system, but because Fort Pitt's kind of at the top, just making sure that we're going above and beyond to manage any of the paving that we're creating, like acknowledging that, there is a proposed larger parking lot and things like that. So making sure that, we're doing all kinds of best practices to keep, any additional draining from happening down the hills. And the master plan also includes a cost estimate and then some phasing of it. So that's, hopefully to be a tool for the city in terms of budget requests and grant applications and things like that. So the football field would be phase 1, with the parking lot and kind of concession area as phase 2, phase 3 being that back area. And then phase 4 kind of standing alone, because it could happen before or during kind of the other phases, are the hills and things like that. And, DPW also said that it's possible it all gets done in one swoop too. And so I think we just have it like this in case that's, not, the funding's not available for that. So yeah, just trying to go quick. So just, what else in the master plan? There's cost estimates. There's a lot of detail about stormwater management considerations and proposals. There's some sort of quick wins, or just things that we know are problems at the park now that we wouldn't need to wait for some, big capital budget to address. And then some smaller things that could be done in the meantime prior to construction. Okay, I feel like I sprinted through that. Any questions? And I will post the link to the Engage page in the chat.
I was going to ask you if the information was available.
Yep, and you can find all of the past engagement results. Everything is kind of archived on there, and the draft of the master plan. I'll put it in the chat right now. The draft of the master plan is on there, as well as a survey. So the master plan is not finalized. We're still gathering input, and if there are some sort of major qualms that people have, we want to make sure that those are addressed before we finalize the report.
So for those joining by phone and can't see the link, it is engage.pittsburgh.gov/fort-pitt-park.
If you Google Fort Pitt Park, it should be like one of the first things that comes up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I will send out to everybody a little, the plan and the links and everything. So for those who are just joining in, welcome to the State of the Neighborhood meeting for Garfield. So far, we have spoken to Commander Vinansky and Marty from the city about Fort Pitt Park. Does anyone have any questions about the Fort Pitt Park plan? You can unmute yourself and just ask away.
So, who's Like, who are you guys working with to kind of put this together? And what's like I guess, when you guys are looking to have everything, finalized?
And can you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry, and I'm Malachi from Ed Gandy's office.
Hi. So we have an advisory committee. Bob Jones, who is on the call, he is a member, as well as Nina and Portia from BGC. We have a handful of people from the city, including Councilman Burgess, his staff, as well. And so, we've wanted to bring kind of some of the big community players to the table. The Housing Authority and the school district were both involved as well, just because, their property is involved. And then in terms of when everything is done, do you mean the plan?
Yeah, or just like the plan.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of is, not to say like undecided, but kind of based on if all of the comments in this final round of engagement are green light, we love it, then that makes it a lot easier to kind of wrap it up. But if there are any sort of outstanding issues that we need to work through, to kind of take the time to do that. So I would say, Joe, I don't know if you want to, maybe by the end of April, I think we're hoping to have the plan wrapped up.
Yeah, that was the plan, to have it up on the Engage PGH website for a couple more weeks, get folks to have their sort of last say, and then we'd finalize it by the end of April. So it's 95% done, or at least based on the comments and feedback that we've received so far, it's about 95% done. Barring any major changes, it'll get finalized by the end of April.
Thank you for the update. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Joe, you had mentioned barring any major changes, which it opens up, or it's a segue into my question. We had a conversation about the field surface in the past, and you and Marty definitely know my feelings about the surface, it transforming or transitioning from a natural surface to a synthetic surface or an artificial surface. Has there been any more conversation about that on the city's end? And I would just like to share with the community that, I'm part of the Garfield Gators youth football program, and we utilize the field quite a bit. We go from, even in the spring, from April with rugby, and then we transition into football in July, and we go into November. So the field is heavily used. And I would hope with this transformation of the whole area that the field would be used even more. And I know over the years, the surface has been beat up pretty bad. And the maintenance of the surface is pretty much done it's not done often. And I would suggest, or I would like to tell the city or ask the city to consider a synthetic or an artificial surface because of the field's use, and knowing again that the activity is going to pick up and the use of the field should pick up. That would be the best way to go, unless they have a serious maintenance plan that's not going to disrupt what we've been doing for the past 25 years. So again, has there been conversation about that? Do you guys know? And is there anything that you can suggest the community can do to make that happen?
Right. So,
Go ahead, Joe.
okay. So what's in the plan, just so everyone knows, is both natural grass and synthetic turf. There's two columns in the cost estimate that you'll see if you go to the website and find the report. There's two columns in the cost estimate. One is for the sort of lower cost things, and the other is for higher cost things. So the synthetic turf is very expensive for the initial install, but over time it can be used without much maintenance for a decade or so. So understanding that the Garfield Gators really want turf and really think that's the right move for this park, both are included in there. Public Works right now, what we've heard is that they don't They don't support the idea of synthetic turf. It's not their first choice. They're worried about the sort of long-term maintenance and the long-term replacement cost. That even if money is available today to put in synthetic turf, 10, 15 years from now, when the turf has to be replaced, it's a huge cost that they don't have the money for. We've had a couple conversations with them. They're, I wouldn't say they're in agreement with us, but they're bending a little bit. And so that's why we put it in there. What we also put in there in the report, is that there needs to be a conversation that continues on before this is constructed. There needs to be some kind of conversation and some formalized agreement between the city and the Gators that they can jointly fundraise, that they can jointly participate in the final determination of what this field surface is. So it kind of sounds like I'm evading the question, Bob, but it's, to put both in there, we haven't excluded one or the other.
Gotcha, and I appreciate that.
Ultimately, a park master plan, it's not, rarely do they call outs, that'd be like the park master plan saying the playground needs to be, this plastic, the park master planning process isn't, the materiality conversation happens in design and construction. And so, we want to put it all in there so that it's there, to make sure that the conversation is prompted during the design and construction phase.
Yeah, I understand, the initial thought would be, that's truly what the Gator needs, but I'm truly speaking from a community resident standpoint and being on the field and seeing it. It's never been a field full of grass. We can go outside the city and see some beautiful amenities, where there's maintenance done, the upkeep and the management of fields are done really well. We've never had that in this community. We've never had that on the ball field. So with this opportunity being one of the first in my lifetime and being a lifelong resident, I want to push for the best amenity possible. And knowing that the field is being used quite a bit by the group I'm a part of, and with the transformation, the field is going to be used even more. I truly believe the best option would be the synthetic surface. I watch in the summer months, there's someone that comes up with a tractor 3 days a week and just drives around the field. And I wonder, what are they cutting? Are they cutting grass, rocks, or dirt? And for them to push back on something like this, it really, it doesn't sit well with me at all. It wouldn't make sense. And to talk about having to replace it 10 to 12 years later, and the cost being the issue, they're going to spend a ton of money if they maintain it properly in man hours and supplies and equipment. If it's a natural surface, that would equate to what it would cost to do it right in the beginning. So that's a major concern of mine. Just the surface is major. It would be pointless if, they beautify the area and then they try to have another natural surface that they're not going to maintain. And they haven't maintained in 25 years and longer, or maintained properly. Now they keep the area clean, but the field and irrigating and reseeding, no, that doesn't happen. And it's never happened. And I don't disagree with you at all, Bob. If all you got to do is go out there and walk on the field, and it feels like a parking lot. Then there's places where there's no grass and there hasn't been grass for a year. So that's why, again, we put both options into the cost estimates and into the plan. And I think if there's more folks like you who feel the same way, that this really should be synthetic turf,
then you gotta make that comment on the plan. You gotta make that comment to the website, and we gotta push to get the Gators a seat at the table with the city over the next few months, years, while all the fundraising is going on, to make sure this issue gets solved the way that you want.
And I will just also add, Isaac, I can see you have your hand up. I will just add that if for some reason it is, a grass field moving forward, that we've also built in the cost for an irrigation system and things like that, and that it would be laser graded, which it wasn't previously, things like that, to where even if it's a grass, it would be an improvement from what it is now, which I understand isn't the ideal, but.
That was kind of my question, is if the natural option had things in it to make it better than what we have, because I know it's always been a mud problem and, the drainage up there. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and we have a lot of stormwater management aspects, that would be involved in the field if it was synthetic or natural. And then, like I said, yeah, to have it would be reoriented, laser graded, and things like that, irrigated, which, it wasn't previously when it was seeded before.
Isaac?
Sorry, did you say my name? I couldn't quite hear.
I did. I know you had a question.
Yeah, it's just real quick. It's actually a comment. It might be a little too detailed, and I apologize if this is already part of the master plan, but the staircases between Hillcrest and Rosetta, it'd be really great if we could have one light somewhere along that staircase, especially in the winter. It's so dark. There's no light, and it's a path that kids take all the time coming home from school, and so yeah. All those staircases really should have at least one light. Where Shamrock Way crosses it, that'd be a pretty good spot for it.
So what's in the master plan right now is rebuilding the staircases, adding new railings, making them so they connect better to the pathways. We're adding new lighting in the park as well. Also rebuilding the staircase that goes from sort of the north side of the field down to Breezeport as well. There was a staircase there. It's been removed. But yeah, there was a lot of comments from the public, from folks that we talked to, that really thought the trails and the steps were as important as other things in the park. So thanks for that.
Does anyone else have any questions about Fort Pitt Park? You can just, yes, Mary. You're muted still.
Is there like a guarantee on the field itself, on the maintenance, whether it's turf or whether it's natural seeded? Is that something that is possible? Like
With
if
the
they did the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
With the synthetic turf surface will come a guarantee. There's a warranty, like it's a product that you buy. So
Right.
Yes, there would come a warranty with that. And if something happens, say in the first year, if it ripped apart, then we could call the contractor and get him back to fix it. With a natural grass surface, there's no guarantee. I mean, as Marty said, what we do is we build in things that would make it more successful. What's in the cost estimate right now is regrading the whole field so it drains properly, adding drainage underneath the field, adding new topsoil to the field, and putting on athletic sod, sod that's specifically designed and been grown for athletic fields, and then putting in an irrigation system. So no, there's no guarantee that, something doesn't happen and the grass doesn't grow, but all those things should give us much more confidence that we're going to get a good stand of grass.
Well, I understand what Rob is saying, because it has been seeded and it didn't work. So until there's like maybe a year from now, either a year or 2 year guarantee saying that, okay, the grass did grow.
Right.
You can do that and put $1 million, but if the grass doesn't grow and it's not and there's no one to come back and say, okay, you got to come back and redo it because it didn't work, then we've wasted money. At least with the turf, if it tears up or something happens, then you have a guarantee. So you have to come back
Right.
and repair it and fix it.
No, very, very good points. And really, when you plant a natural grass athletic field, whether it's baseball or football or soccer, whatever it is, you should let it sit for a year. After you plant the grass, you should let it sit and not have anybody play on it. You should let those roots grow into the ground. Let it establish itself as well as it can.
So we already know that's not going to happen.
That's difficult to do because we don't want to have the field down for that long amount of time. So yeah, Bob's point about the synthetic turf makes a lot of sense. And that's why we put both into the cost estimate. I mean, I can't sit here and guarantee you that, what the answer is going to be, say, a year or two from now, whenever the funding's in place to actually build this. So we wanted to put both in there to understand what the cost implication would be.
Will they allow the community to raise any of the money?
What's in the report is that there needs to be some kind of cooperation agreement, some kind of formalized agreement between the community, the Gators, whoever else wants to participate, and the city. That there needs to be something that allows you a seat at the table to be able to continue this conversation.
Okay. I don't know if a lot of folks know this. We have a concession stand there. And there's concession stands at ball fields across the city that the city placed on those ball fields. The one in Garfield, the community actually raised the money. Rick Swartz and we actually applied for a grant through the NFL to have that concession stand built. And the city did come in with some resources to support it. At the time, our councilman was Jim Furlow. And it was interesting, after we raised the money and we had it built, the city began to place concession stands on ball fields across the city. I would hate to see this project be held up because of something simple, like the community wanting to raise money, the community pushing for, a certain surface, and the city's pushing back. And I've shared this with you, Joe, and I've shared it with Marty. The Homewood project, it's a $14 million project based on what was in the paper. And I didn't realize, man, this project has been on the table for 5 to 6 years. And the differences are because of who's going to do the work and the surface. And we can't afford to have that happen in this community. We can't. As well as we can't afford to have a field shut down for 2 years. That would hurt us. We have one ball field here in the neighborhood. To have it shut down for 2 years would be devastating. It wouldn't be right. So, I'm looking forward to being at the table. I would hope other folks on this call will be willing and interested to be at the table and truly push for an amenity that would truly serve the community in the best way possible.
Thank you so much, Coach Bob. Does anyone else have any comments or questions that they would like to offer about the Fort Pitt Park plan? I can't see everybody, so if you want to speak, you can just unmute yourself and ask. Going once, going twice. All right. Is Portia on the call? I didn't see her join. Let's see if that was her. We hired a brand new position, a Garfield Green Zone and Public Safety Coordinator, and her name is Portia Andrews. And she has already hit the ground running and has put together a awesome trail plan for Garfield. I don't want to speak for her. She has a Garfield Green Zone meeting coming up this week. So I will be able to provide all that information in the comments if you want to join in on that meeting. But since she's not here, we do have a couple of other people on the call from the city who would like to give some updates. And I also have my executive director, Rick Swartz, who would like to talk to you about conservatorship actions that are happening in the city. So first, I'm going to let Eric Williams from the city go first. And then I will get the maps for the green zone and have those ready for us and come back around to that. But Eric, if you would like to go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Nina. Hey, everyone. Good afternoon or evening. I think we're at the evening point now, but my name is Eric Williams. I'm here representing Mayor Peduto's office. I work in the Office of Community Affairs as a community liaison. And usually I go to the different community groups throughout the city, North Side, East End, and South Hills, and elsewhere to give announcements as well as handle constituent issues that you may have. So we work alongside council members, staff, and handle some of the issues like paving. So one particular thing really quick before I do a few announcements for you all. And I'll also push all the links inside the chat, as well as say my number and email out loud. So folks that are on the phone, they can use that number. If they want to reach out to me for certain issues, you can. So the issue on paving that Nina brought up to me, that you guys don't feel like, maybe there's folks out there that don't feel like they're getting their paving requests heard. Absolutely feel free to reach out to our office and we can put those paving requests over to the Department of Mobility Infrastructure. You can also go to the 311 and put your request in that way. And that happens all year round. So usually roads are not paved because there's maybe PWSA that maybe don't some work there or other delays that are happening. But please feel free to use the 311 system and reach out to our office, as well as your council persons as well, if you have some paving requests.
Can I ask a question? This is Malachi from Ed Gandy's office. Good to hear from you. We've been a lot of complaints about people just dumping trash on like people's alleyways and in front of people's properties. And it's it's getting to the point where I believe something needs to happen about it. Would 311 be a resource for that, or would I have to go elsewhere for for stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. 311 is a good place to start. I keep a record of everything for us. So like but I will also encourage you to encourage other city residents to reach out to me or to our office, and that we can also look into the system and see where is it at. So usually that is depending on how big how much garbage is there and how often it's happening. There's many ways that the city goes about that. Like one way, there's a lot of like, for example, throughout the city where there's mattresses and all types of garbage over hillsides. So sometimes we have to figure out ways, on a budget, can we put cameras there to find the offenders? And then on occasions as well, when it comes to big bulk stuff that are being dumped in certain places, the city's Department of Public Works will go out there and clean it up, as well as they do have a subcontract with the city source, and they take on some of the properties throughout the city and cut it down for us, and they will go clean up the jobs as well. So yeah, absolutely 311 and reaching out to our office would be an additional step to make sure we are following up with it.
And for the people that don't have your office number, please give it to us.
Yeah, I'll do that now. It's my number is 412-255-4773. 412-255-4773.
Thank you.
No problem. And I'll send my email to Eric, ERIC, period, Williams, WILLIAMS, at Pittsburgh, PA. Pittsburgh spelled all the way out, .gov. And Malachi, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to partner with you to handle some of the issues.
Appreciate it.
And then let me jump into the announcements really quick. I'll mention, I have a huge list, but I'll only do a few of them so that way I can give you your time back. The first one announcement I have on here is COVID-19 Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It was $36 million between the city and county, and you have to be eligible for the program. There's a certain criteria. So those folks that live under a household income below 80% area median income are eligible for the program, as well as at risk of homelessness or housing instability, and one of the following due to COVID-19, reduction in household income, incurring significant costs, experience of financial hardship, lease or oral lease documentation. In some ways they were affected by COVID. So I'll leave the link there. The application has been open since March 15th. So, and they're still open now. That money's still available for folks that need that rental assistance. City parks distribute 500,000 meals since the start of pandemic. This is the city of parks is the Parks and Recreation. They had this significant milestone most recently in the last few weeks. There was about 423,600 grab and go meals for children and 100,000 meals for seniors. And I'll put that link in there so in case folks want to go there or want to share that information with other folks, that you can go to the senior centers as well as the recreation centers to get free meals. And the next one is the city launched the Food Equity Ambassador Program. So the Pittsburgh's Food Equity Ambassador Program will consist of a cohort of 14 residents from across the city of Pittsburgh. Through a series of 9 meetings, ambassadors will build community through sharing stories and experiences, gain a deeper understanding of food system challenges in our region, work with local leaders to create policy solutions, and develop leadership skills to support advocacy in the program and beyond. So this is something to know is really important to know is that ambassadors that are signed up for the program that are included in it, they get compensated about $585 for their participation, and we'll have a significant opportunity to share the direction of to drive the direction of the program. So I'm super excited to mention that. The deadline is April 9th at 12 o'clock. I'll share the link there in case someone was interested in joining that initiative with the city. Lifeguards, city's hiring lifeguards. The pay range is $11 to $15.76 based on your experience. They are training people when you sign up, so you can apply today. Financial Empowerment Center, that's ongoing. They provide personal financial management support to individuals that live in the city. Over the past year, the last 2 years since they have started this initiative, 868 people in the city have benefit from the program, and it led to even myself. I was actually be able to save money through signing up for this free financial consultation. It led to 1.3 million in total debt reduction with the people they serve, as well as 1 million in increased savings. I'll leave the link, and then I'll do 2 more so I can give you your time back. The Pittsburgh Permit Parking Program, I think it's important to mention, especially in Garfield. This is something through the Department of City Planning and Pittsburgh Parking Authority. They have a survey. They're asking for your feedback. This is because before I get into the deepness of it, I would just say that the BCP is notifying all current and former permit holders who will provide with their email through the Engage PGH survey. This survey will provide you opportunity to give feedback on what better ways to go about residential permit parking. Talking a lot, so I'm starting to so recycling, and then I'll throw the rest in the chat. I can answer any questions now. I'm trying to see if there's anything else.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just wanted to add one more thing. Thank you, Eric, for getting an update about about how people can get rental assistance. But for people that did not know, the eviction moratorium has been extended to June 30th.
Yes. And the last thing I'll mention I love mentioning this, the last thing. So Dolly Parton Imagination Library, if you don't know what that is, this is a initiative by Dolly Parton where a kid under the age of 5, so from zero to 5 kids get a book in the mail that's nicely wrapped. The way in Dolly Parton and the city of Pittsburgh partnering to allow children in city to empower literacy. And I like to say that, and I can share the link in there so you can sign someone kid up. These books are absolutely free, and they are nice, so they can get a nice little library by the time they're 5 years old. And that's it. But any questions you have, I'm happy to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Miss Mary.
The work that's being done through the city water department down on Fairmont, and the guys that are relaying the bricks, the cobblestone bricks. Do you know why they've disappeared and haven't finished laying the cobblestones?
I do not know, but I can definitely ask about it and follow up with you.
Okay, because they started last year, left it, and came back this year to finish up. And they finished 95% of it, but they've disappeared again.
Yeah, my best
So
guess.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. My best guess is two things. One, there may be other projects on the city that may have been emergency that kind of like took some staff away. Second is the weather. Sometimes things can slow down a lot because of the weather. But yeah, I'll check in to get the most accurate response for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does
Could
anyone
you,
else- Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, could you just kind of review briefly the Dolly Parton thing to make sure that I understand, how kids and families can get involved with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you do is, this is a program that has been going on for about a year or two now with the city. And what happens is you sign up a child that is a newborn. And once you sign them up, you have to live, only qualification, you have to live in the city, and the kid has to be under the age of 5. So once that kid is signed up, they receive a book every month that comes nicely wrapped, different titles, popular books, a ton of different books. So every month for every year. And then at the age of 5, that's when it stops. And this is, and like I said, it's eligible for folks that live within the city only. So we did deliver 50,000 books over the time of partnership with Dolly Parton. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and where do they sign up?
Online. I'll leave a link there. I'll actually send it to you directly.
Okay, thank you.
And if you
Share it
have,
with all of us, Eric, and I'm gonna share meeting minutes with everybody.
okay, yeah, I'll share a bunch of stuff with everyone. And if you have any questions, like, feel free. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone else have any questions for Eric? Going once, going twice. All right, Rick, you're up to talk about conservatorship.
Just a brief overview for those of you who are not familiar with this term. About 20 years ago, the state empowered basically nonprofit organizations or residents living within close proximity to blighted, abandoned housing to be able to go to court and petition the court to appoint either the nonprofit or the individual resident as a conservator for that property. This was a stepping stone to eventually having the property move from the ownership of somebody who, from all appearances, has abandoned the property over to somebody who would actually take the property, improve it, renovate it, and get it back to occupancy again. Over the last few years, we've begun to sense that this intent with the conservatorship law has really been undermined by for-profit developers who are using the law to take properties across the city from private owners whom they attempt to locate and then cannot. And then the court is asked to appoint the for-profit company as the conservator for these properties. This trend has become very noticeable here in Garfield. And by our count, over 35 properties in Garfield, be they vacant houses or vacant lots that from all appearances may be abandoned, are now the subject of conservatorship petitions. What this holds for the neighborhood in the near future is not particularly good. So what we're going to try to do, working with another nonprofit called Rising Tide Partners, is begin to try to capture more of these properties for the community itself to be able to eventually take title to and eventually, hopefully, improve them as affordable home ownership housing primarily. So we want to let everybody know that this is a major threat right now to Garfield remaining an economically diverse and socially diverse community, because most of the for-profit developers really are looking to cater to upper income buyers. So the way this can work is if the for-profit company gets the common pleas court judge to appoint them as a conservator, and eventually they can take title to these properties, their acquisition costs are generally less than $20,000 for these properties. And then the for-profit company can turn around and actually put them on the market for sale. What has happened in the last month or so is that Rising Tide Partners, which again is a nonprofit, it's a charitable organization, has reached out to one of the more prominent for-profit companies that's been engaged in this activity in Garfield. And we're trying to develop what I would call a partnership with this for-profit company, where they would agree to surrender the petitions that they have filed against many of these properties and allow the community to step in as the petitioner when it's warranted. And that's a key thing here, is that we want to be absolutely certain that whatever houses or lots are going to be part of a conservatorship action are indeed abandoned, and the owners have departed the premises, so to speak, or there are beneficiaries to estates where the beneficiaries really want no involvement with the property. So we have a subcommittee that meets with Rising Tide on a regular basis. And if anybody would like to kind of have a window into these discussions about how we can turn more of these properties in the direction of affordable housing and not have them go for market rate development, the next meeting of this subcommittee is going to be Thursday, April 15th at 6 o'clock. If you're interested in being kind of a observer, if you will, of the discussion that happens, you can let either myself or Nina know, and we will see that you get a Zoom link for that meeting. Mary Wilson is one of the members of that committee. And again, it's something that can have a major factor on the direction that Garfield goes in over the next 10 to 15 years. We'd like to see as many as 30 of these properties taken back from for-profit companies if they're willing to work with us in this regard, and gradually see these properties developed by either nonprofit organizations or by individual residents as owner-occupied housing. in most cases. There may be a few that ultimately would be rental housing, but our goal is really to help folks who are not able to purchase homes in outlying neighborhoods to be able to come to Garfield and find a house that can be purchased at an affordable price. And by affordable, we mean households whose incomes are 80% or less of the median household income. So we want to kind of use tonight's meeting just to give everybody a quick introduction to this important subject, because it's going to become a very critical path for ensuring that Garfield doesn't go in the direction of neighborhoods, say like Lawrenceville or East Liberty, that we're able to retain a working class home ownership population in Garfield over the next 20 to 30 years. So again, if you're interested in just kind of sitting in on the meeting, you don't have to join the committee. You just want to hear more about this discussion, let us know, and we will link you to that April 15th meeting. If anybody has any quick questions, be happy to answer them.
I do have a question.
Sure.
It's not, it's sort of tangentially related, but I guess I'm wondering on a broader sense, like these companies that are coming in and doing these renovations, you can tell which ones were neighborhood done in the sense of like our low income and affordable housing projects, and that they have a uniformity about them and they fit in with the neighborhood and they fit in with the vibe. There are some properties that now are being flipped that don't have that same feeling about them at all. Is there any plan to enforce something like that, to encourage preservation, at least to have a theme in mind?
That's a good question. And the answer, the short answer is right now, the city has no regulations that can be used to corral how this activity unfolds in any neighborhood. If you're a flipper or a for-profit developer and you can convince someone to sell a house to you for whatever price they're seeking, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want with that property. Nothing can be done from a zoning standpoint or standpoint of the planning commission. So these developers simply have to get building permits and they're off and running. We've had one for-profit developer who actually came in from Washington, D.C. about a little over 2 years ago and started targeting houses in Garfield for this very specific purpose. Some of them are on Dearborn Street, down in the 4900 block.
Those are the exact ones I'm thinking about.
And what we can do in that case is we can use the prospect of shaming people, right, for what they're doing by trying to work our way back to the board of directors or to the owners of the company and start throwing some shade on them, some negative publicity that they, in many cases, really do not want.
Right.
So we've had to become, in some cases, trying to almost blackmail people not to continue buying houses in our community just for the purpose of flipping them in the manner that you've observed on Dearborn, where the house is purchased for between $50,000 and $100,000. The developer does about $125,000 to $150,000 worth of work, puts the house on the market for $325,000 to $350,000, and pockets a profit of anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. So what the Garfield Land Trust, which is, I think, gradually going to become more engaged, is to try to work with existing homeowners to encourage them not to sell properties to these folks, but to even think about selling them to the Garfield Land Trust instead. That's what we're hoping becomes the vehicle for those kinds of sales. But for properties where we don't have an owner, or the city of Pittsburgh is the owner, we have to be thinking how we can use this conservatorship process to the neighborhood's advantage and start to, in a sense, escrow houses away from private developers and allow the community a chance to work through the renovation, some kind of renovation program for those properties. Or in the case of vacant lots, even some affordable new construction. So it's really kind of an irony that we thought maybe 6 or 7 years ago, the Bloomfield-Garfield Corporation could exit the whole housing development business because it's very time consuming and very costly. But now I think it's pretty clear that we're being pulled back into it. And we're going to have to help Rising Tide Partners and other nonprofits, City of Bridges Land Trust, the Garfield Land Trust. We're going to have to help these entities develop toeholds in our community that can prevent Garfield from just being overrun by this kind of activity. You know, if we stand still and do nothing, then that's probably going to be the outcome. And I think, again, you know, we have many homeowners in Garfield who've been here for 15, 20, 25, 30 years who are very much tempted to sell their properties to these folks because they're offering them the top dollar. And it's hard to dissuade anybody who's been in Garfield for a long time and has waited for the neighborhood to rebound to say to them, you know, well, you really should not sell your property to anybody just because they happen to make the best offer to you or the highest offer. So that's not been an effective sales pitch. And we just see it time and again where longtime owners are pretty much selling their homes for whatever the market is willing to give them. So it's a two-pronged issue, both with existing homeowners and then with these vacant houses where the owners have disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's a real opportunity for, Carol Peterson in Lawrenceville, the late great Carol Peterson, who really led the charge on preservation down there and really kept their Main Street on Butler looking the way that it has. And I think that we have a real opportunity to do that in Garfield.
Sarah Innamorato, our state representative, is probably going to be part of a task force that's going to look at the holes in the conservatorship law and is probably in the next year or so going to try to suggest reforms to that law that would knock out these for-profit companies from using this process as opposed to just trying to go through a treasurer's sale or a sheriff's sale process, which historically is what they've done. So if you know Sarah Innamorato at all, you can certainly encourage her in this effort. I think there's an article, and it's a public source, Nina, that's out this month.
Yes.
That's talking about this whole problem across the city, not just in Garfield. And I think the need to go back and look at this law and really tighten it up considerably.
Thank you so much, Rick. Does anyone have any questions for Rick? You sure you can just unmute yourself and ask a question? All right. Moving right along then. Let me get set back up here. I'm going to share my screen with you real quick and show you the trail map that Portia Andrews, our Garfield Green Zone and Public Safety Coordinator, had drafted. Let me get ready. Here we come. All right, can you see it on your screen? Anybody, can anyone see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So it utilizes a lot of city streets and paper streets especially. So it's very accomplishable. So we're like super excited because we're going to be knocking out a lot of these things this summer. Portia has partnered with Penn Trails, where there will be trail building classes that people, so we're not just building a trail, we're teaching people to build trails, and then that can be used as resume builders, and we're helping connect people with job training. So it's super excited to be able to connect with the Fort Pitt Park plan. And, you know, they talked about putting in new stairs. So over the next year, we're going to see a lot of movement on making the neighborhood more walkable and safer with lighting additions, really cleaned up spaces. Portia has a plan for different types of gardens. I don't have all the details. I wasn't planning to speak on the topic, so I hope that y'all can bear with me a little bit. But I did post in the chat the date of the next committee meeting and Portia's email address, and I will share that with everybody. Sorry, that's not the right screen. I'm going to stop screen share. So does anyone have any quick questions about the trail plan that we just looked at? I know that I wasn't the best one. So the Green Zone Committee meets April 7th via Zoom. And if you would like the link for that, you can email me and I will CC Portia and send you the link. Because we would love for people to get more involved. You can learn about the different cleanup days we're doing. You can learn how to be part of the trail building if you would like to be part of that. There's also bee gardens, like pollinator gardens, and some bird watching stuff that we're going to be doing, as well as art. So there's lots of ways to be involved in the green zone. It's not just picking up trash. Please don't think that. And we would love to have you join that meeting on April 7th at 6 o'clock. So again, does anyone have any questions about that topic? No? All right. Well, I'm going to keep going then. At the beginning of the meeting, I mentioned a couple of things, and I just want to let you know that I did put the public safety survey in the chat, as well as a link to join our committees or sign up for volunteering in general. Both of these links will be on our website first thing tomorrow. So if you can't access the chat window, or if you want to go back tomorrow and you're like, what was that link? It will be on our website at bloomfield-garfield.org. I will also send out meeting minutes along with the video, will be on our website as well, so that if you want to go back and refresh your memory. We do have a Neighbors in Need fund. If you need help, or if anyone around you needs help paying their bills, we do have an online form. It is on our website, but you can also always send people directly to me. Again, I'm Nina Gibbs. I work for the Bloomfield-Garfield Corporation. I'm the Community Engagement and Planning Specialist. My email address is nina@bloomfield bloomfield-garfield.org. And my phone number is 412-441-6950. Extension 117. You can always reach out to me. We do have other funding, like if you're trying to make repairs to your home, we have a matching grant for home repairs that up to $1,200. And hold on, let me make sure I don't miss anything. Oh yeah, so again, we have free food Wednesdays through Sundays at every day is a Sunday on Penn Avenue at 4919 Penn Ave. Natalie is partnered with Food Rescue 412 and us to help provide free food for community members Wednesday through Sunday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can walk in and get free food. Just walk in and say, hey, I heard that there's free food, and you'll get hooked up. It changes every day what's available, and it's always something cool and exciting. And anything else?
Nina,
Yes,
is she also still selling food, or is for temporarily, is it only the free food?
No, she is still open for business. You can order all of the regular items from her menu. So please support Every Day's a Sunday. They've been open through the pandemic, feeding people. The work in 2020 was really impressive, the amount of food that was given away. It was over like 96,000 pounds of food. It was really crazy. It was an amazing amount of food. So please do support her. She is open. All of the businesses on Penn Avenue are really open right now, so it's a great time to get out there and check everyone out as the sun is shining. I know that my bubble was burst earlier that it's going to snow later this week, so
Oh, no.
so get it while you can, y'all. But that resource is available. We have funding available, and the East Side Neighborhood Employment Center is open. So the computer lab at 113 North Pacific Avenue is open. You can come in, you can use computers, you can make copies, get online, and we have employment specialists to help people find jobs. So if you are or anyone you know is in need of finding a job, getting money, fixing their house, we can really help with all those things. So please send them our way. And all of the information is available on our website at www.bloomfield-garfield.org. And again, you can email me or call me and I can provide information. So does anyone have any questions about anything that you've heard tonight or anything that you didn't hear about tonight? We still have time. If you have something that you want to talk about, like, hit me.
I do have something to add. It's just for resource information. So for people that are having issues paying their utility bills, water, electric, gas, the moratorium unfortunately is over on the 1st of the month. So 3 things that you can do. First, see if they're on a CAP program. If they are, that's good. Secondly, they can see if they can qualify for the Dollar Energy grant, which will be up to $500. If you go on their website, the Dollar Energy Fund, I think it's .com, and you go to, there's a spot that says find your agency. The agency in your neighborhood, there's different agencies depending on where you're located. They should be able to help you fill out the grant application for, $500 if you qualify for it. There is income guidelines. I think if you make under 28K a year, you should qualify. And also you have to prove to them that you have made a payment. You try to make a payment over the last 3 months. So if you have record of that, you can show them that as well. And thirdly, if none of those 2 options work, they can get put on a payment plan. The payment plan will be based off of how much their bill is. So if their bill may be like they're maybe $600 behind, their payment plan might be, $50, $60. Just depends on, how much they're behind, and they will request a minimum payment. It's up to the discretion of the utility company of how much they're going to request up front before you get put on a payment plan. But if they're able to do that, then please do that, because because shut off notices have already got sent out, and people are going bonkers about it. Eric already touched upon the rental assistance. So again, if anybody who just joined and wasn't able to get it, it is covidrentrelief.alleghenycounty.us. There are some eligibility requirements, as he stated before, to see if you qualify. And as I stated before, the eviction moratorium has been moved to June 30th, which gives people more time to apply for this for this relief. And also, if you know anybody, I believe now for people that own their homes, I didn't understand why there wasn't anything for relief for people that have mortgage payments. There's only, as of right now, funds for people that are having trouble paying rent. But if there is, if any information does become available where there is mortgage assistance, I will definitely email Nina the information, and then she can distribute that to the community. Also, thirdly, COVID vaccinations. I am happy to say I don't feel like the state did a good job of rolling out the plan. However, I do believe a lot more people are getting vaccinations now, which is great. My only concern was that things open up too quickly and people going out and kind of, bypassing the restrictions that were lifted. Because I believe from reading going to the health department website that COVID cases did go up a little bit. So, please inform people that they still need to socially distance. I know it's nice outside, and I know it's warm, people want to get out, but you still got to practice social distancing, because if numbers go back up, then we'll be right back where we started. And I'm sure we don't want that, because I'm pretty sure everyone wants to enjoy, this summer. Also, if anybody doesn't know what our office does, like I said, I'm Malachi Pugh, work for State Rep. Gainey. We are very resourceful. We help people, like I said, who need help with rent, utilities. If you're having any legal issues, we can put you in the right direction. We do have, partnerships with, some of the local communities, organizations, and also, of course, we try to attend these virtual meetings that, that you guys have and other communities have, so that way we're staying up to date about what's going on in the community and informing people about resources in their community. Like Wilkinsburg, the Sanctuary Project, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with them. They were able to do 1,000 COVID vaccinations, which was really great for the Wilkinsburg community, because one of the things that people were very upset about was that, the underserviced communities weren't getting the COVID vaccinations. The YMCA had their first COVID vaccination, I want to say back, sometime last month. They were supposed to have a follow-up a couple of weeks later, because you had to get the second shot 4 to 6 weeks after you get the first shot. Something happened, and now they weren't able to get the second COVID vaccination. So within the Houma community, I think Bethany Baptist Church stepped up, and they got clearance from the health department to do COVID vaccinations, which was really great. So that meant that people, who may have not been able to get their first shot, they now are able to get their first shot, and then they'll be informed when they can get the second shot. So as we, get more information about COVID vaccination, places that are open, people that are open up places for COVID vaccinations, we'll also get the information out. We do rent rebates or for people who are on Social Security, who are on disability. If you own your home, If your income is, you have more leeway with income. So I think if your income totals over 35K, you don't qualify for renters. If your income is over 15K, you don't qualify. The maximum you can get back is 650, and a lot of people use that to pay extra bills. And typically, the deadline is the end of June, but they usually extend it to the end of December. So this is a very good way for people who aren't working that can prove they have a disability. They can qualify for up to $650. There's a few other things, unfortunately, I can't talk about because it's on the other side of, like it's called the other side of the rainbow, which is more of a campaign side, but I can't talk about that too much. But if you guys have any questions, campaign related, you can email me at kpugh@pahouse.net, and I will direct you to our campaign manager, and he will be able to answer any question that you have campaign related. And like I said, we aren't open. We're open for appointments. So if like I say, if anybody who is in need of any type of state services, such as driver's license, anything regarding trying to get on public assistance, and anything of that nature, they can call our office. Our office number is 412-665-5502. And we can, we can see what's going on with their issue, get the restoration letter if it's a driver's license issue, and then, try to help them, go through exactly what they need to do to get their driver's license restored. But we do a lot else. We do a lot of other stuff too, but, I don't want to take up too much time. But if you guys have any questions, you can ask, and, I'll answer to the best of my ability.
Thank you. So does anyone have any questions or things that they would like to talk about that wasn't discussed tonight? Anything that you've noticed in the neighborhood that concerns you, or just any topic that you'd like to bring up while we have this many different people from different offices from out the city?
Hi, Nina.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I joined a little late. So I just have a question. Is there something that we can do to get some of the vacant lots cut down and trimmed back a little bit? I think I have 3 in between my house, and there's a few across the street.
And that's a really great question. Eric, I know we've talked before about my deep desire sometimes to get things mowed. Especially come summer, it always sees, we feel very overgrown because we do have so many green lots. What do you think?
So I missed the beginning part of the statement.
Oh,
Lot.
yeah. How do we get empty lots that the city owns mowed? Is what Miss Jarmel would like to know.
Yes.
You can reach out to us, and we can send over an email to the finance department, who is in control of City Source, who is a subcontractor for the city to handle city.
Nice.
Generally, most people will go through 3-on-1, which they also get cut that way as well. So I would just do both.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And one more question, Mr. Eric, while I have you.
Mhm.
What about some of the graffiti that's on the wall?
So that's something that we report to the police.
Okay.
That can be done through 3-on-1. They can go through our office, but
Okay.
typically the police have to kind of coordinate. It's a whole investigation that goes into that to find whoever did that. But absolutely report it, and the police officers will go and do patrols to see if they have basically catch the person in the act, from what I understand.
Okay. What if it's been a while?
Like, what if you just want it cleaned, Eric? Like
Yes.
I know, like there's specifically a piece by the Garfield sign by North Fairmount that has graffiti on the wall, and we've 311 it, but like, what if you just really want it clean, but aren't worried about catching the person?
Yeah, I understand that. Is it a city property? 'Cause I'm not sure.
I think, I don't know. I have to double check that one.
Well, honestly, Eric, I think the gentleman that owns the property, he always keeps the grass cut. So I'm not sure if the wall is his responsibility or not, to be honest.
It could be. It sounds like it is, but I can definitely. Do you have the address that you can share with me?
I can email you about it, Eric.
Perfect.
I have it, because there's a couple different ones. So
Thank you, Nina.
yeah, I know exactly which one she's talking about, and I'll do some research and I'll just send you everything together if that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds great, and I'll look into it too, and then see what I can find out and see if we can make something happen.
Yay!
So-
Thank you. Pressure
so not-
packed day.
Nina, I know you're sick of me, but I just have one more thing.
Oh, I love it.
So there's also a fire hydrant there that I wanted to paint in spring to make it look nice. Is that a violation?
If you paint it yourself,
Uh-huh.
I can't say it is, but hold off for a second on it. Share the location with me. Maybe we can get someone else to paint it.
Okay, that would be.
I'll put it in my email with the graffiti request.
I don't need to do time.
Yeah, I don't need that. We don't need that. We need you.
We don't want to get in trouble. Be the graffiti artist, right?
Right.
But I appreciate the willingness.
That's a really good point about 311. There is so many things that can be reported through 311 now, and there is a MyBurg app that you can download for your phone, and you can make 311 reports in real time. There's like a map that pinpoints like your exact location. You can take a picture, type your comments, and boom. You can also make 311 reports via Twitter if that's like your jam. And you can also call in and make reports. And we were talking about Engage PGH and all the plans that you can go on there and give your feedback. If you don't have the internet, you can call 311 and give your feedback to Engage PGH plans. So go 311, like super huge supporter 311. Please report everything. If you're out and you see a pothole, report it. You want a light on those stairs, report it. These maps act like red flags, and the more red flags we get, the more attention we'll get. So the squeaky wheel gets the grease, Garfield. Let's do it.
I have a question.
Yes.
What do I report the raccoon population to 311? I'm on Aiken Avenue. It's really bad.
Yes, we do have a terrible raccoon population.
Yeah, I think I've called them once on that. What do they do? How long do they take to respond to that?
Eric, do you know how long they take to respond? I can say that what they do is they come out and they bait like the neighborhood, like I think it's twice a year. And you can do animal control reports through 311. Eric, can you tell us how long it usually takes?
I'm not exactly sure how long it takes without just saying anything. Generally, I understand is that we work with the Allegheny County with the raccoons specifically, but that's something that I will have to touch base with animal control about of the duration. But when it comes to like, generally speaking, raccoons are definitely an issue. Like even
yeah, they're really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, are they aware of how bad they are right now?
They are, and they spread rabies pretty widespread, and that's why the partnership with Allegheny County. Well, Allegheny County actually does that themselves. We don't even partner with them with that. It's such an issue throughout Allegheny County, raccoons in general. But let me check in on that, and I'll share that with Nina, and then we can figure out some answers for you.
And I do strongly say report it through 311. If you do download the MyBurg app, it gives you a number, but it also sends you an alert every single time something is done. So if they assign it to animal control, if they send out somebody, every single time they do something, they send you an alert. So you know if it's being worked on or not. And you can update comments to it. You can be like, oh my God, I saw 6 more raccoons today, and keep updating that post. And see all your things in one spot via the app. It's so great. Like, I really love it. But even if you call in, they give you a number. If you call in and you keep the number and you contact me and let me know, I can keep a track and keep sending those requests in too. Like, hey, don't forget about these raccoons, because we
Okay.
are aware that it is a problem in Garfield. It's all over the city, like you said, but they know Garfield's got it bad. What else y'all got?
Hi, my name's Rebecca. I'm actually a new homeowner in Garfield, and I understand that the blue bins for recycling have already been distributed to this area, and I've been trying to figure out a way that I can get one through the city, since they're already distributed to my street.
Eric, oh, there you go.
Yeah. So you can call the environmental service and they can help you out with that. They can also do this through 311, and you tell them your address and all that, and you're requesting a blue bin, and they'll drop it off for you.
Okay. I actually tried it through 311. Maybe I didn't select the correct issue, but it was just like immediately closed my issue. I've been trying to utilize it. And the blue bin information, the website, obviously you can look up and see when it's coming to your, I've done that to your neighborhood, but since it's already been delivered to my neighborhood,
Right.
which is great. I just want to be able to participate and utilize it.
So what do you think, Eric?
I can definitely throw the number to you right now.
Okay.
Also send an email to the supervisor that's like overseeing this whole project if you still don't get it.
Okay.
So I would say call environmental service. What is your number? Let me see. Can you message me?
Yes.
And I can kind of make sure that happens, because it's the first one I came across that didn't get a blue bin, so I can maybe learn about what's really happening and make sure that other folks can get it.
I think it's because I moved in. The property had been vacant previously and it was renovated, so there hasn't been anybody at the address for probably 10 years, and then they were distributed before I moved in and owned. So it's just one of those like slip through the cracks kind of situations, maybe.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is I wanted your address and all that, so I can check on one and reopen it. So I can just give you a call tomorrow if you're like, even, I don't know if you're. Yeah. I can give you a call at some point, and then we can get your address and check on that. And then if that doesn't go well, the things I'm thinking about, we can escalate. So.
Okay. I will send you a direct message in the chat with my address and phone number.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, y'all. Anyone else got any more questions? Anybody? All right. Well, I'm going to close out the meeting then. Mr. Armel, you went off mute. Do you have a question?
Just wanted to tell you thank you so much for setting this up and keeping us informed and updated. You're a doll.
Oh, thank you guys so much. This was like a really great conversation, and I'm just so excited that y'all 30 people took their beautiful night and spent it with us talking about Garfield. And I'm just like, I can't thank you enough for putting the time in for the neighborhood and helping us do great things. I just love you guys so much. So thank you so much for coming. And again, I'm Nina from the Bloomfield-Garfield Corporation. If you have questions about anything that you've heard tonight or things in general, you can just email me or call me anytime. I will help put you in the right place and connect you to the right people to help get your problem solved. And that's really what I do. So again, NINA@bloomfield-garfield.org. And my phone number is 412-441-0009. 6950. You can Google the Bloomfield-Garfield Corporation. Thank you. Good night. No. Thank you, guys. I hope you have a wonderful night.
Good night, Nina.
Bye.
Everyone.